A year ago, I began filming my new movie, Am I Racist? The goal of the movie was to go deep undercover into the world of DEI and show how bad the problem really is. There'll be some moments in the movie that just seem too crazy to be real, but I assure you it's real, and it's been a real problem for quite a while, in fact. To prove to you how big of an issue DEI is, I wanted to take you on a trip down memory lane of some recent real-world examples of anti-white racism. But before we do that, check out the trailer for Am I Racist? Tickets are on sale right now, so visit amiracist.com for more details. Now enjoy the trailer.
Republicans are Nazis. You cannot separate yourselves from the bad white people.
Growing up, I never thought much about race. It never really seemed to matter that much, at least not to me.
Am I racist?
I would really appreciate it if you left.
I'm trying to learn. I'm on this journey.
If I'm gonna sort this out, I need to go deeper undercover.
They gon' say I'm racist.
Joining us now is Matt, certified DEI expert.
Here's my certification.
And what you're doing is you're stretching out of your whiteness. This is more for you in this field.
Is America inherently racist?
The word inherent is challenging there.
I want to rename the George Washington Monument to the George Floyd Monument.
America is racist to its bones.
So inherently.
Yeah, this country is a piece of
White.
Folks,
White.
trash.
White supremacy.
White woman, white boy.
Is there a black person around?
There's a black person right here. Does he not
They gon'
exist?
say I'm racist.
Hi, Robin.
Hi, what's your name?
I'm Matt.
Just had to ask who you are because you have to be careful.
Never be too careful.
They gon' say you racist.
Buy your tickets now. In theaters September 13th. Rated PG-13.
All right. Number 4, this is from the Daily Wire. The Montgomery County Public School District in Maryland spent more than $450,000 on an anti-racist audit for the 2020 through 2021 school year, which resulted in the district tentatively adopting policies that push anti-racist thinking in preschool. So we're talking about like 3 and 4-year-olds, okay? According to a copy of the school district's tentative action policy obtained by the Daily Wire, the district will now provide a culturally responsive pre-kindergarten to grade 12 curriculum that promotes equity, respect, anti-racist thinking, and civility. I'm wondering, when do we get to the how to riot part of the lesson? Is that in the civility? How to riot civilly? The curriculum will also teach students that the impact of racism on mental health has been deemed a public health crisis. The school district, which is one of the largest in the nation, announced in November that it would partner with the Mid-Atlantic Equity Consortium for $454,000 to conduct an anti-racist audit. The audit was designed to examine the district's systems, practices, and policies that do not create access opportunities and equitable outcomes for every student's academic and social emotional well-being, starting in pre-K. Now, you know what I'm going to say, because what I always say when we read a story like this, which is the first thing is get your kids out of the public school system. But I would add an addendum to that. At least get them out of the public school system at these very early ages. Please, dear God, do not send your 4-year-old to a public school system. You homeschool them early on, send them to high school or something. Maybe, maybe that's a feasible plan. Because at that point, if your kid's 13 or 14, they've been raised and you've raised them correctly, maybe at that point they'll have the fortitude and the formation to withstand the brainwashing that will still happen. But the point is, at 4 years old, forget about it. 4 years old, there's just no chance. A 4-year-old is going to believe whatever they are told. It doesn't matter what it is. Anything you tell them. You tell them that you rode to work this morning on a unicorn, they'll totally believe it. That won't even occur to them as an odd thing to say. Because talk about reality, they have no concept of reality. So when you send, much more than this is the case with the older kids, with younger kids, when you send your younger kid to school, that is an act of profound trust. You are putting so much trust in the people that will be in charge of your child at that school. Because the influence and power they're going to have over your child, it's difficult to articulate. The immensity of it. And if they decide that they want to brainwash your kid at the age of 4 into this anti-racist nonsense, into critical race theory, that's it. Your child's going to be brainwashed. There's almost nothing you can do about it if they're being exposed to that for hours a day at that age. So please, think twice about that. I beg of you. Getting into credit card debt is so easy. Getting out, well, the system is set up so that you can't. If you're struggling with credit cards, personal loans, collections, or medical bills, you need to check out PDS Debt. PDS provides a service to match you with debt solutions tailored to your financial situation. If you're making payments every month on your debt and your balances aren't going down, PDS has solutions for you. Everyone with $10,000 or more in eligible debt qualifies, and there is no minimum credit score required. Bad and fair credit are accepted. I know how much debt can weigh on your shoulders, so don't wait any longer and get in contact with PDS Debt now so you can finally have some peace of mind. PDS Debt has customized options for anyone struggling with credit cards, personal loans, collections, or medical bills. They strive to understand your specific scenario and can help provide alternative solutions to becoming debt-free. Save more while paying off your debt in a fraction of the time. Stop waiting and start saving. Get a free debt analysis right now, pdsdebt.com/Walsh. It only takes 30 seconds. That's pdsdebt.com/Walsh today, pdsdebt.com/Walsh. Ibram Kendi has a new book out, and the new book is called How to Raise an Anti-Racist. So he's going back to the same well. He already has Anti-Racist Baby. He wrote that one, I believe. And now he's got How to Raise an Anti-Racist. And all of these books, you find them all over Barnes & Noble, and they all these media interviews and everything. Nobody actually reads or buys these books. But he was on MSNBC talking about the book, and he said a few things that I actually think are worth responding to. Let's listen.
So tell everybody why you wrote the book.
Well, I wrote the book because the more that I researched this issue about race and children, the more that I continued on as a father, the more I realized that kids are actually the most vulnerable to racism, but they're the ones who were least likely to engage about it. And so I wanted to write a book that would allow parents and teachers and caregivers to figure out ways to protect our children from these simplistic messages like dark is ugly and light, is good, so they can grow up to be whole people who recognize racial equality.
And your message is that parents should understand that children are already forming opinions at a very early age. Some research says as early as 3 or 4 years old.
They do, and that's the unfortunate truth. But according to scholars, by 3 years old, our kids have an adult-like concept of race. By 3 years old, our kids are attaching qualities like smartness and honesty and cleanliness to skin color. And all the while, parents are thinking, and teachers, that our kids aren't thinking about skin color or even seeing it. And so we're not stepping in to counteract those messages, and we need to.
Okay. He says we got to counteract the message that kids are getting that dark skin is ugly and light skin is good. Where are those messages exactly? Where are they hearing those messages? I mean, who is saying that? Who exactly is saying that? Give me one example. Give me like one modern example of that message being promoted anywhere, least of all to kids. Where exactly are they getting it? I mean, they're certainly not getting it in media, in Hollywood. They're getting like almost the opposite, actually, of that message. They're not getting it in school. So where are they getting it? What are you talking about? Yeah, so I bravely am speaking out against the message that dark skin is ugly. Well, it's always really brave to speak out against an idea that nobody is proposing in the first place. But more to the point, he says that kids are the most vulnerable to racism, and that, again, is the opposite of the truth. That's just not true at all. In fact, kids, it doesn't actually occur to kids to be racist. And how do I know that? Well, I know that because I've been around kids. I have kids. Like, I'm familiar with the concept of childhood. I was a kid at some point. So there's a lot of just sort of experience, including lived experience, that tells us this. I also know because I grew up in the 90s when there was not this obsession over race. It wasn't a racial utopia, but there was not the same obsession. And I mentioned before, I can remember going to grade school in a very racially diverse area, and all people, lots of black classmates, Asian, so on and so forth. And yes, as a kid, you notice the physical differences, of course. You notice it, but you don't attach a lot of significance to it. You might have some dumb, like childlike sort of innocent questions about How exactly does it happen that people look different or end up with different color skin and all that kind of stuff? In fact, those aren't really dumb questions at all, actually. So you might have questions like that. And kids might be prone to saying things that are kind of awkward because they don't know any better. But kids actually do not attach significance to these things. They just basically see people as people. And just take your kid to a playground anywhere and just see how they're playing with the kids. They don't stop. Like, you're not going to see kids on a playground stop another kid and say, oh, no, you have a different skin color. You're not going to play with us. It just doesn't happen. So if you were to just leave kids alone, most kids are already living in a very diverse environment, okay? So if you were to just let them be kids, leave them alone, kind of leave them to their own devices on this particular issue, it's not going to be an issue. No, it's people like Ibram X. Kendi who have to come around and tell the kids that there's a significance here. So it's actually the opposite message. He and all the so-called anti-racist people, they're the ones telling kids that, oh, no, you know what? You guys all look different, and the fact that you look different is very significant. And here are all the reasons why it's significant. And not only that, but the other thing they say to the kids is, well, you see these kids over here, these are the white kids, and their ancestors are all racist and they're oppressive. And you over here, you're the black kids, and you're being systemically oppressed. In fact, you're being oppressed by these kids over here, and you might not even know it. And they don't know that they're oppressing you, but they are. And here are all the privileges that these white kids are getting that you're not getting. And it may seem like you get the same privileges and you're living basically the same kind of life, but you're not. No, they get all these privileges, and you don't get them. So people like Ibram Kendi, they're the ones doing that. Under the guise of anti-racism, of curing kids of a racism that they don't even actually have in the first place, they are creating it. They're creating racial divisions. And of course, they're doing it entirely on purpose.